Welcome to the On Stage podcast, where we interview musicians and members of the entertainment community. Hello, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate my audience. As you see, Charlotte Adams, and what's so special about her? Well, she's a guitarist and music educator, and she has been for over 50 years, but nah, I don't think she's over 50. Mm-mm. Now, now to be fortunate to have unlimited opportunities only to serve other guitarists in uncommon ways, but she also has to learn about the things that interest her the most. Welcome to the Onstage podcast, Charlotte. Um, I want to ask
Chris. It's
you,
nice to.
sorry, how did you first become interested in music, and what did you start playing your instrument or singing?
Oh, okay. So I was lucky enough to have a very musical mother, and she had a great ear. She didn't have professional training at all, but she could play some really sophisticated stuff on the piano, sophisticated harmonically, jazz type stuff. And when she was young, she sang in a trio, like the three-part harmony thing, like the Andrews sisters and McGuire sisters. So she taught us, my twin sister and me specifically, how I have a twin sister, and she taught us how to sing harmony when we were really young. So I got to develop my ear, and then we took a few piano lessons. I I didn't really practice regularly, but apparently people thought I excelled at it. But when I found the guitar as a teenager, then I had my instrument. And then you couldn't take it out of my hands. It was, I'd play for 4 or 5 hours practicing at a time. I slept with it on my bed beside me. And so that it just kind of stuck from there. I did go back and play some piano, and I play some other instruments. And I do a lot of other musical stuff that I help people with too, writing stuff or arranging, transcribing, all kinds of stuff, because I then went on to educate myself as much as I could, as well as to
Wow,
perform.
interesting. What type of guitar do you have? Do you have like a Taylor, a Gibson?
Now, I have a number of guitars, as guitar
Oh,
players do. So I have a few. I have a guild. I don't even know if I can say all this, but I have a guild. I have a little parlor guitar that I like to teach on, especially because it's real easy and small. It's great. I have small hands. And then I have an Ibanez solid body electric, which is my go-to guitar. It depends. You choose the guitar according to the type of music you play, ideally. So that's why I have a number of different guitars, because I might go to a wedding and play at the wedding and the reception. I need to be able to amplify. You don't want to play an electric guitar at the wedding, more of a classical guitar. And then I might have acoustic stuff I want to play. But generally, because when I just choose, I generally go back to jazz standards. And I have a hollow body Gibson for that. But what I play all the time really is my Ibanez for that, because it's much more comfortable. And I have a history of injury, and I help other people with injury, because when I was young, I didn't realize that you need to have a guitar that not only fits the music, but also fits your body. So that's a big deal. And I talk about that on my website. If anybody wants to read about that, or have me help them with that, I can do that too. So
now,
lots of guitars, not as many as some people, but more than others.
now are you a right-handed or left-handed guitarist? Like, do you play like this, or
Right.
do you play like this? Oh,
No, I'm right-handed, and a lot of people who are left-handed also play right-handed guitar. That's something else to help people determine is which is really appropriate for you, because it's not just a decision like, oh, I'd rather have this guitar, that guitar, or somebody told me. I think it's important, again, to honor your body and to get the most out of your guitar playing you can, do the best job you can, and enjoy it the most. So you want to choose a guitar that fits not only your body, but also your handedness.
so let me
Yeah.
guess. The first song that you started playing at the guitar is "Smoke on the Water." Dun 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 dun.
Oh, no. That would not be me. No, this was a long time ago. And it was not really my taste. So I started with folk tunes. Actually, I started with the ukulele
Oh
because
wow.
when we were kids, we had ukuleles, and my mother taught us how to play "Show Me the Way to Go Home," which was really amusing since she didn't drink, but it was a drinking song.
Wow, you
But we
wanted to
played.
be inspired by Tiny Tim, huh?
I know. And that's a great way to learn. I think everyone should learn simple songs and a lot of them chords because you develop your ear, develop an understanding for the guitar itself. You just learn so much and you learn how to learn. You learn how to memorize. You learn how the melody and the harmony, the chords go together. You just learn a lot. So I did that. I learned a lot by doing that. And
Am I
then I'm hungry for more and more and more sophisticated, complex stuff after that.
am I under the impression that Mary Had a Little Lamb is actually all four chords? That's why people practice on it. Doot
All
doot
four
doot
chords?
doot doot doot. Yeah,
Oh, you mean
like
notes?
the
Okay,
notes.
are you
Like
okay? Yeah. So Mary had a little. Now we're talking about there's something different between chords and notes, and so for people who don't play guitar, and some people who when they do play guitar and they're just beginners, they don't get those terms right. But the chord is a combination of notes. So the notes, like what you're singing, Mary had, that's pitches or notes, individual notes. Okay. And then when you have the individual notes that go together, usually three or more of them, all it takes is three, then you have a chord. And that's when you see people making these shapes and changing shapes and strumming or finger picking. Those are chords.
well,
Yeah.
thank you for that explanation. Really appreciate that.
Yeah. So
Um,
Mary Had a Little Lamb is, yeah, you can start with singing that or playing the melody, the notes.
I read a quote. You said that you enable guitarists to lift their limits on learning and performance by employing optimal skills, thoughts, habits, and beliefs. Can you explain the part where it says thoughts and beliefs? What does that mean to you?
Oh, I so deeply appreciate you bringing that up because it's huge. And this is something that I do that you're probably going to have a hard time finding another guitar teacher to do. So this is where Limitless came from for me. This is why I named my website Limitless. Is that you have, you can do, let me just say this, you are limitless in what you can do. So many people think you have to just have talent. Well, you can grow talent. And in my book, You and Your Guitar, I have a list of books you can read that talk about this, but also very famous musicians who grew their own talent. So you don't have the limits that you may believe that you have, but those limits are a result of your thoughts and beliefs. But also, your thoughts and beliefs dictate how you practice, not just what you think of yourself. Of course, what you think of yourself is super important, and that you can believe you can do this, and you don't give up easily, and you think it's a you can do what you want to do with it. But you can do what you want to do with it with good learning skills. So those learning skills are something that I really emphasize when I teach, and they're individual sometimes each person comes to the instrument, comes to their lessons with different background. Maybe you have a good ear, but you don't have a good sense of rhythm yet, or maybe you just don't know how to memorize. And so you think, I can't memorize. That's a belief. I can't memorize. That's an untrue belief, however. You can memorize once you get the skills to memorize. And so that's what I want to help people do. And it's not just memorization, there are a lot of different skills. I can't sit for a long time and concentrate. Yes, you can. I can't play this because my fingers are too fat. You can play this regardless of your hand size. So those limiting beliefs, we remove those, in the kindest way. um, and I want to see what you're doing and how I can say, oh, we can tweak this or shift that, and poof, things open up, and there's a limit that's lifted, right? And you can learn how to do this yourself, and that's part of my mission too. Is that a big part of my mission. That's why I wrote You and Your Guitar, is to help people, to enable them to learn how to be their own best teacher. Now, if you think about it, even if you have a great teacher, would you see that teacher maybe an hour a week, and then you're going to practice 6 to 20 hours a week without the teacher? You want to be good at that 6 to 20 hours, right? You can't sit with the teacher every time you play your guitar. And besides, you want to come out of you. You want your own creativity, your own expression. You want to play your music the way you want to play it. So I want to empower you to do that. That might mean you come to one or more lessons with me. It might mean you don't have to. This is something that each individual can make their own way, just like we make our own way through so many parts of life. But we can lift the limits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. That's like I've learned a lot through that.
Oh, I'm glad.
You
Yeah, I'm
yourself
glad.
being a lifelong student of music, it says you're interested in the human body and physical health and the brain and consciousness. Now I'm going to talk to you about the whole fact. Knowing that you teach guitar, what about people who have arthritis in their fingers and people that are on the verge of Alzheimer's? How do you get them to
The
sorry
guitar, yeah.
learn the guitar?
That's okay, so everybody has their own way. Okay, so by that I mean that you may not play the guitar like your favorite guitar player. If you have Alzheimer's, well, that's kind of a stretch because most people who have Alzheimer's are not going to be taking guitar lessons or trying to start a new instrument. Although that's another topic because the studies show that your brain is takes benefits quite a bit from learning a musical instrument. So, but we'll set that one aside for now. So I don't think Alzheimer's is going to be an issue. Do I have had people come to me that have physical handicaps, sometimes severe handicaps, worse than arthritis, and we can work around those. So it takes this it takes patience to learn to play guitar. Period. You could be, at the peak of your health. You could be, 20 years old and ready to set the world on fire. You're still going to have patience. You're still going to have some of these skills. I call them character skills in my book. You're still going to have these skills like patience to learn. So if you have a physical handicap, we'll have to find other ways. Maybe use a different finger, maybe use less pressure, maybe use a different guitar that's easier to play, smaller guitar, lighter gauge strings. There's a variety of stuff we can do to enable you to play. Now, if you want to be a star within 2 years, no, Limitless doesn't mean Limitless doesn't put a time frame on it. You see, that's the patience part. You just have to go into it and do what you do with the best you've got, and then be amazed and grateful for what you get back, because you will get back, and you can play, even if you have some perceived limitations. And part of that is also, as you said, I've been interested in health and healing. So part of this is, if you want to, if you really choose to, you can do things to minimize the inflammation in your body. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. I know about a lot of that stuff. Um, and that's just, again, if you choose to go far enough to take those steps. Maybe it's change your diet, maybe it's move around some more. You know, it's an individual thing. You have to approach this as on an individual basis.
Hmm. Are you inspired by people that can play the guitar with their feet? Some of them are mostly born without arms and have no dexterity. I saw a guy play the guitar with one hand.
Hmm.
So
I'm
I'm inspired by that
Yeah.
because who says you need to have a full use of your hands?
No, I'm inspired by anybody that does anything that where they reach out and they go past perceived limitations. Yeah, that's a good thing, and we can do it. I mean, you see people who paint with a brush in their mouth. I mean, so often we think that these things that we do, art things, are done with our body.
Yeah,
You know,
because
not just your body. There's something else going on too, right? Yeah. I mean, you have to learn. Yeah. If you want to play guitar and you want to progress a lot in guitar, there are things you're going to learn. You need information, but it's not in your body. The music is in you. You do better to develop your ear, to develop your mind, to learn to relax, to uh, as I said, patience, commitment, inspiration. There are all kinds of other things that go into it. And without those things, then you're just mechanical, you know?
I'm pretty sure that
Yeah.
if you lack the physicality to play an instrument, you'll find some way to play it. I mean, music heals the
You'll
soul. I mean, here, the brain consciousness and the mind body connection. I mean, if you don't like, if you had a brain injury, how are you going to play the guitar? But eventually, if you train your mind, some of the connections will be rewired, and you can end up playing the guitar some way. Correct?
yeah, I agree with that. Again, you'll be playing differently perhaps. But look at Django Reinhardt. Are you familiar with Django Reinhardt? Yeah, so he was missing all those fingers that were burned in the Gypsy Fire. He became one of the most influential guitarists ever to have lived. You know, so it didn't stop him.
Yeah.
It didn't slow him down, from what I can tell.
No, music is music. So when you connect your mind to your body and you start playing the guitar techniques, are there people that can't really do that? Like, for instance, those that are, I don't know if you heard of, it's a medical term called amusia. It's tone deafness. People that, that can't learn how to sing, can't learn to play the guitar because they just can't connect their mind. How do you fix that?
I'm not certain about this condition you're describing. But I do know there are people who do think they're tone deaf that I have brought around to being able to hear pitches. No, that I can do. But there may be a medical condition, and I think that's what you're referring to, that means there's just not a connection in there, right? That's what you're saying. Um, Again, I would be surprised if someone who had that level of disconnect would even be considering playing an instrument, because what what prompts us to play, right? We hear something. It's not like something we've read. We hear something that moves us and we want to create those types of sounds. So if we can't hear them, then we're not going to make it to the lesson room. Probably. I can't. That doesn't make sense to me. But I don't know. I don't know about that. But I doubt it. I don't, it's not anything anybody's ever come to me and say, I can't hear, so can I play music? No, because there are people um, who could, do drumming, for instance, because they can feel those vibrations in their bodies. But no, I think what you're describing, I don't see as being something that I would ever encounter. I haven't yet. So,
Have you ever figured out how Beethoven was able to create those fantastic classical pieces knowing that he was totally deaf?
yeah. So what happens? I mean, he wasn't born deaf.
He
So
wasn't.
music
It
is
was meningitis when he was 3 years old.
yeah, music is in your head. So, I remember when I started writing musicals, after I'd taught guitar for about 10 years or so, I thought I only taught adults. So I thought I want to be around kids. So I started teaching at a couple of schools, and then they wanted me to do musicals for them. I was doing like after school lessons and some group stuff during the day, private schools. So they wanted me to do um, put on musicals. Well, I didn't like the musicals that were out there. They're very limited, and they usually had messages that I thought were not so great for anybody, particularly kids. So I went to there's a I was in Austin at the time. I'm in a town close to that now, out in the country. But I went to San Antonio, about an hour drive, which had this huge store that supplied um, schools, teachers, anybody and everybody about music. It's called Southern Music. And I went in there, and all these they had a little electric piano set up in this department where they had all the sheet music musicals. And I watched. I kept thinking this is so weird because I was watching all these piano teachers or school music teachers or whatever take the music and go to the piano and play it so they could see what it sounded like. Okay, that's that kind of mentality or approach is what prompted your question, I believe. From my perspective, I look at the music and I can tell what it sounds like. I can hear it in my head. Okay, so that is what the goal should be for every musician, that you can hear this music in your head. If you can't hear it in your head before you play it, my recommendation is don't play it until you can hear it in your head. So that's what Beethoven did. He heard the music in his head. He could write it down. Like I can do that. I can write music that I hear in my head or externally. And I'm probably not as good at it. I'm sure I know for a fact I'm not as good at it as Beethoven was, but any accomplished musician can do that. It's in your ear, it's in your head, it's in your being. It's not as external. It's not in your muscles, you know. So that internal ear he had, it didn't go away just because he lost the physical capacity to hear.
That's true. But remember, I said that no matter what sort of disability, no matter how you are, whether you lack the physicality, there's a way that you can play music. Well, when I mentioned Beethoven, how he did it was that he sawed the legs off his piano and put it flat down on the floor. Then he laid on the floor like this, and it was put his ear to the floor. And it was the vibrations that allowed him to write. So that's what he was. He was like lying on this like this. So I think that's kind of interesting.
Well, that's what I was saying about the drummers. Drummers feel it in their body, you know. But again, would he have been able to translate those vibrations into the music if he hadn't previously been able to hear? I kind of doubt that, don't you? Yeah, I kind of doubt that because it's like the other example you had. Like, why would you? What's your incentive? What would motivate you to do that if you never heard music? You see, there's no connection there. He had already heard music, and he'd heard music in his head, and he knew what it sounded like and felt like. Yeah.
It's true. And it was like 200, 300 years ago. Nowadays, someone who's born deaf, like, how about, what's her name on America's Got Talent? She was deaf, glasses, and she was playing the guitar without she lost her hearing, and she was playing the guitar. I don't know, remember her? And then um, she couldn't hear the sound, but she was playing some really beautiful music. Now, she did hear before, so it's very interesting that,
Right. Yeah. It was
yeah,
still
this is,
in her.
it's a fantastic, yeah. Before we forget, everyone, everything will be linked down below, including her website, limitless-guitar.com. Everything is in there, including her unique two-book set called You and Your Guitar. She's written 6 guitar instruction books, hundreds of articles, and everything will be down at the website down below. Um, so,
Thank you.
have you taught any famous musicians?
I have, but I don't reveal their names. I
You're
mean,
the
I just,
second person that refused to do that. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, yeah. I don't think that would be the nicest thing to do.
Oh wow. Too bad. I asked somebody else and they said the same thing. I can't tell it. No. I'm like, come on.
I don't really want to do that. And it doesn't mean, because I have taught a famous musician doesn't mean I'm better, worse, anything. We're all just doing what we do, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to teach people and to learn from people, and that's just all it's about to me, you know.
How would you
Yeah.
describe your music to someone who's never heard it before? Like they see with a guitar, but they would think, okay, she just sings blues and Joni Mitchell type music. But what would you describe? What type of music you play? What genre to someone who says, "Hey, Charlotte, so what do you play?"
Yeah, so I don't play any blues or sing any blues. I mean, if you want to play blues, I'll play with you, but I'm not a blues player. Um, no, I have two types of music that I always gravitate toward. One is chord melody. I said this is what I started. I got turned on to when I was a teenager by a brilliant guitar friend of mine, and um, and he used to listen to Chet Atkins, and he turned me on to Chet Atkins, and I will be forever grateful to him. So those kinds of chord melodies. That's what I started with. Moving into well, actually, the first few things I did were like folk songs, sing and play, but the guitar, um, and then moving through a lot of different that kind of thing, and then I moved into jazz. And what I like there is jazz standards. You know, I played for many years with another guitarist, just a jazz guitar duo where we did those kind of standards like Joe Pass Herb Ellis used to do, that kind of thing. And I love that. And I still do a lot of chord melody, jazz chord melody. So I like being able to be the whole instrument on my one guitar. I'm actually an introvert, so it works out really well for me if I can just sit at my little hole and play my guitar by myself. And then I like to improvise. I mean, and part of that is playing leads. So, like in the jazz guitar duo, of course, you're trading off playing rhythm and lead. So, both those things. I like to create leads. I like to play chord melodies in those two genres mostly. And um, and then I just like to play music, like with my students, whatever they bring in, I can improvise with and play along, whatever. It's just fun. So I'm open to a lot of different kinds of music. I listen to different kinds of music other than those two, but those are the main focus for me when I'm just wanting to have a good time.
Oh yeah, definitely. And makes you feel good. You know, the passion that I
Yeah.
hear in your voice and desire just to make music so people feel that passion. It'd be like, wow, it's Charlotte Adams again, picking up that guitar, playing. Oh, ah, ooh, you know, like watching fireworks. I think it's amazing. Um,
That's good.
being a guitar instructor, um, have you ever actually seen someone else's performance? In your mind, you're thinking, they played that wrong, or or okay, I see where they're going with that.
Oh yeah, I mean you analyze and I mean you see everything, and that's the thing that I feel like is I feel so sorry for my students. I always tell them they have a lot of courage to come to a lesson because you know you can fool yourself, or maybe you don't even have to fool yourself into thinking when you play for a large audience or maybe one or two or more people that your mistakes just they don't notice them, and usually they don't. But when they're playing for me, they know I'm going to hear everything, but it doesn't mean I judge everything. You understand? So you're, you know, the way you play guitar, I don't see that as your identity. It doesn't make you smart, stupid, good, bad, whatever. It's just the way you're playing today. And maybe it's the way you always play. Maybe not. But, you know, this is other part of the mind, body, emotions, mental stuff that I try and get across to people is that it doesn't reflect your worthiness. You know, I mean, I mean, I think all of us, okay, we're going to laugh when we say that because it sounds so silly, but there's some deep part of us that feels so vulnerable. We're so vulnerable. And so, like, if you dig in there, you might think, yeah, it kind of does reflect my worthiness. Maybe I believe that. But we have to step out of believing that. Do you see what I'm saying? So when I hear somebody else and they go, oh, that's not right. Well, okay, it's not right. That's all. It doesn't have to have anything go with it. You know what I mean?
What if one day you open the door and the world's greatest guitarist is there, Stephen Vai or Steve Tyler or any of those big rock and roll musicians, and they say, um, um, Charlotte, I need help. Is there anything you can teach them?
Oh wow. So, I guess I'd have to hear what it is they want. You know, that's that's really what it is when anybody comes in. I need to know, what do you want? Where are we going? You see, because there is no world's greatest guitarist, right? That's a matter of taste. Hey, if you don't even like the genre that they're playing, maybe you don't even know who they are. so, so there's no best. I can tell you, my opinion about things. Um, or if they say, look, and I've had this happen before, somebody comes in, they're very well respected, but they say, I want to do something that I can't do yet. Like, I'm a rock and roll guitarist, but I want to be able to um, score a movie. I don't know how to do that. Oh, I'll show you, you know. But yeah, that's the best answer I got on that.
I can imagine Paul McCartney coming to you and saying, "Hello, are you Charlotte Autumns? I was told that you could
I
help me.
can.
I can't connect my mind to my rest of my body. I heard that you can do that." You imagine, and it's a picture of you and Paul McCartney. Like,
I don't think so.
I think it would be
Not
that
anytime
would be an
soon.
interesting story you could tell people. Paul McCartney came to visit me, and he said that his
I
mind
would
could not connect to
say.
the. You can imagine. So if you weren't Charlotte, if you weren't a musician, what other career path might you have pursued?
Oh, that's easy. I am totally passionate about horses. I always say I sprung from the womb wanting the horse, wanting to buy the horse. I have beautiful horses out on my land that I love dearly. They're my family, they're my teachers, and I've done a lot. I've done a lot with horses my whole life, and I would do that in a heartbeat for a second career. But it would probably be like I'm doing guitar, a little bit different than the way most people do because I'm not competitive. I certainly don't want to push horses any more than I want to push my guitar students into feeling stressed or it's just anything that's less than whole and beautiful and filled with love. So horses, they complete me. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so how do you approach practicing and rehearsing? Like, do you have any unique techniques or routines?
Well, one thing that I think would be um, good to mention is that, and I've touched on this, I do a lot in my head, right? So I hear the music in my head. So before a gig, I really try to have it anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes in a quiet room by myself, preferably someplace I can lie down and close my eyes and hear what I want to do. If it's a potentially stressful situation, um, where I think I'm going to get stage fright or something, then I'll want to go over that to breathe through it, live it in my mind, really visualize it, hear it, see it, feel it until I can breathe and be okay with it before I go out there. Practice, um, you know, you just like in you and your guitar, you get in the habit of thinking, feeling, being a certain way. You walk in that room, bam, you're there. I pick up my guitar. I don't have to go through anything. I'm there, right? It's it's just what I do, and I think it's that way. You know, most people can probably relate to that in so many areas of their life. So, I call it turning. You learn these skills, and then I call it turning discipline into habit. as soon as you can. You want to take that discipline, do it enough times that, again, when you pick up your guitar, you're there. Yeah, and then as
Hmm.
far as practice, that's something you can go on my site, and I have 3 articles. I got a whole bunch of articles on the site. So 3 of them are on practice specifically. Many of them are on practice in various ways. Um, I have practice plans. I have how to tell what it is would be the best thing for you to work on, so you can assess what your skills are now and what skills you want to learn, or what would be the optimal path to reach your goal. Yeah. Did
Hmm.
that answer your question?
Yeah, I love that answer. How do you deal with your
Okay.
mental health? You have all these things coming at you. Paul McCartney's visiting you. Steve Tyler's having tea with you. So how
It's
do you deal
rough
with
when Paul gets here.
Stephen Vai
I'm
is
telling
Stephen
you,
Vai is
that's a
late
tough
for
one.
a little session? No, but how do you deal with all your and Bob Dylan's trying to get into teaching? No.
That's
Um,
the hardest one for me. Yeah.
so how do you deal with your mental health?
Well, I can't say that I ever did this specifically to deal with my mental health, but I'll tell you this is the best thing I could ever do, and I would think anybody could ever do, is that for the last 45 or so years, first thing I do when I get up in the morning is I have what I call a program. And I have different exercises, physical exercises that may be just 20 minutes, no big, it's not aerobic or anything. It's centering, stretching, and realigning kind of stuff. I like Agoscu, which is
Wow.
a program that can help anybody. And then I have meditation. And I spend about an hour and a half every day in that program. So I have a lot of meditation, and various programs around that. And then I revisit. Usually I revisit that in a very short version, maybe 10 minutes before dinner at night. So that's really the most important thing. I mean, people will say, "Oh, I don't have time to meditate," and I'm like, I do not have time to not meditate. I do not have. I mean, it's the most important thing in my day. Why should I bother to even try to have the day if I'm not ready for the day? Right? And learning is really important to me. Really important, like the most important thing. So I'm continuing to learn with these things I study and commit to. That's my mental health. However much mental health I have, that's where it comes from. Yeah.
What about taking walks, looking at the birds, smelling coffee, sniffing the roses, thanking God
So
you're
I live,
alive?
that's 24/7 for me. So what I did was I came to where I live now. I bought 25 and a half acres 26 years ago. I can't see another house. I'm upstairs right now. I can look out. I can't see another house. All I see is trees because I'm in a subdivision of
Wow.
other lots. It's 2 miles of unpaved road to get to my house. When
You
I
take
walk out, I
solo
don't.
you take solo artists to a whole new level.
I am in nature all the time. Even at night, I go out to be with my horses. That's you might call that a meditation. Every night, I mean, I want it to be dark. I want to see them. I want to hear them munching. I want to give them another kiss, and I stop and look up at the stars in the sky. That's the image on my website, Limitless. Every night I go, wow, thank you.
I know. I mean,
So
when I
yeah,
got my
I
brother's
don't have
cottage.
toxic smells. I don't hear sounds. I don't have. I am in nature. So
Yeah.
that's the birds, the walk, and I walk on this land all the time. And I've worked this land. I honor this land. It is my family. Don't even get me talking about it. I get too emotional. It's my family, and I love it very deeply. And I love every being on it. Every little rabbit, every little insect. I don't. If a wasp comes in my house, I don't kill it. I take it out. So I don't have a separate thing. I have to go for a walk or I have to listen to the birds sing. The birds are part of my soundscape. They're my family, they're my life. Yeah, it's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at my brother's cottage, in the middle of the lake in a boat, and you're looking up in a lake in the boat on a river. You're looking up. And where I am right now, you can hardly see the stars. But there, you're looking up and you're like, oh my God, it's like you're in a planetarium. You see every line. You're just sitting there thinking, where did these go?
Mm.
Because you have the sodium vapor lights and the traffic lights and everything. It just covers that. But when you go someplace like you are or in the cottage and there's no lights, you have this beautiful, this like God created every star and every light in the sky, and you're like, oh my God. So it's awesome. So yeah, I can
It's
imagine.
all.
Yeah.
Where's your
Wow.
brother's cottage? Where's
Oh,
this cottage located?
well, I'm sorry, 20 minutes from Toronto, but it's about an hour from here. Hour and a half, 2 hours.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, lovely.
But I don't know if you're familiar with Toronto or anywhere in Toronto,
No, I'm not, unfortunately.
every cottage where there's no lights, no sodium vapor lights, the only light that might be the rooftop of your cottage, whatever, you can see everything. And then you hear
Oh,
the ribbit, ribbit. Then you hear the crickets, and you're like, I'm sorry to digress, but I love the thought of
oh,
that.
that's
You know.
I like hearing that. Yeah,
So
yeah.
how do you engage with people like both online, maybe live performances, or how do you connect with them? Are you like one on one, or do you like being in front of hundreds of people playing? Or
Oh, no. I really like one on one. I want to connect, really connect. As I briefly mentioned before, I'm very much an introvert. Um, I mean, I'm a talkative introvert. That's a thing, you know. Um, and I love people. Not that I don't love people, but I have a very sensitive nervous system. You know, you're talking about all the stuff in the city, all the sounds, and I that doesn't work for me. It's so yeah, one on one is really good. I have had a lot of fun at some of the workshops I've done that are smaller, um, where we have time to really connect each other, each individual. But I'm doing all my teaching online now. And when I started teaching online probably 15 years ago for people who didn't live locally. But then when COVID hit, I said, okay, everybody's going to go online. So then I could not come up with a single good reason to go back to in person because everything online was so much better. So when I'm online, I can see you better because I can get more close up. I can't get in your personal space when you're with me. You don't have to drive down that 2 miles of unpaved road and get here and think, oh, I'm so uncomfortable. Did I close the gate? I'm thinking, did you close the gate? Because sometimes maybe you didn't, and you're in your own chair, you've got your own cup of coffee or tea, and you can warm up. If you're running late, you're not it's not the same thing as if you're hurrying in the car somewhere. And everything moves better. Like, believe it or not, people focus a lot better online. So they're not looking out the window and feeling self-conscious and letting their mind go different places. I've got them. I've got them for that hour, and they've got me for that hour, which I like to think they always had me for that hour. But just in case there was a question, I get to meet their animals, like you mentioned before we came on about your cat. Well, I have cats too, and their family, and I love them. And I like for people to be able to meet my cats, but they could do that when they came here. But I can't meet their cats and dogs when they come here. So there's a whole bunch of cool things about it. And then they can find, oh, the other thing that's really great is that scheduling. I can schedule better. So if you want to take one lesson, fine. You don't have to sign up for once a week. If you want to take once a month, okay. If you want to take twice a month, okay. Whatever works, I will get you on the schedule. I couldn't do that in person because I had somebody else sitting in the waiting room tapping their fingers, and I had to have a buffer zone for people who were late, got here and had to rummage through their stuff for 10 minutes before they could get what they needed. It's just more efficient, and it's every bit as personal. So I love it. So that's how I'm teaching now, and it's great. And I'm always welcoming new people. I get to meet people. I have people I consider close friends that I've never met in person. Somebody met 10 years ago. I've been teaching for all that time. Or maybe I taught them for 6 or 7 years, and now we just have an intermittent relationship. But yeah, it's just as personal. It's good.
Wow. Well, I know that this year I want to learn the guitar. I have visions of myself playing a bass guitar and playing Thunderstruck and Heroes by David Bowie and everything. But then people tell me if you're going to learn the guitar, you have to learn the acoustic guitar. And I want to check to see how much you charge for lessons because it might be better for me to do it online than to have to haul a guitar all the way. It's like, what, 30 minutes from here? So I'll
Yeah.
check that out. Um,
Well, and if you want, I don't want to interrupt you, but you don't have to start on an acoustic guitar. Play what you want to play. I mean, if you're playing bass lines, there's no reason. I mean, just play a bass. Um, if there's some advantages for a lot of people on starting on the acoustic guitar, and I would definitely start a child on the acoustic guitar. But it depends on the acoustic guitar and it depends on the electric guitar. So it's not, I don't think it's a hard and fast thing. But the first and most important thing you should do is have fun. Do what you want to do. I mean, sure, it's going to be hard sometimes. You're going to think, this isn't fun, this is work. But then like anything you do, like any game you play, any sport you play, anything, there's a time where you're going, this is hard. And then you bust through and you're like, yay, this is awesome, right? But that's how it is to play guitar. You're going to work and you're going to bust through, and then you're going to work and then you're going to bust through. But you should, all in all, have fun, right?
that's
It's a
true.
good
Music's
thing.
got to be fun.
Yeah,
I know
yeah. It's a very,
years ago, I purchased a really nice acoustic guitar from my friend Lou. I handed him $400. I took his guitar and I started playing it for 2 days. And I called him back and said, "Yeah, I can't do this. Can I sell you the guitar back?" Because it just couldn't do it. But I really want to learn this time. And I was thinking, like, that's what I want to do. I want to be able to pick up a guitar and just be able to play and just like I'm a vocalist. People are going to say you got to stop telling your artists you're a vocalist because they know. But I'm a vocalist and I want to be able to play the guitar and sing. And I'm thinking, Charlotte, maybe you can
yeah.
verify. Is it easy to? Is it easier to just play the guitar and not sing than it is to sing while you're playing the guitar? Go.
Yes. I mean, is it easier to
Yay,
do
she
two things
verified it. See, I'm
at
correct.
once? Obviously,
No.
if you're doing two things at once, it's going to be harder than you're doing one thing at once. But
Yeah.
that said, you can do it. I mean, anybody can do it.
Hmm.
And I feel, you have a musical background, you listen to music a lot. I don't think let me just give you something that you can do between now and the time you make a firm decision about moving forward with guitar lessons or buying another instrument. Sing a song, since you're a singer, sing a cappella and clap while you sing it. Can you do that? I bet you can. And then go, or go and sing the song. And once you get where you feel comfortable singing a song like that, you got your right hand. That's it. That's the hardest part. And that's the thing that gets most people about playing and singing at the same time is that they don't break it down, get each component. And that getting the component doesn't just mean I can strum or finger pick and I can sing. It also means I can do it in time. So let's take that other part that I just showed you and make that one the components. Okay. So when you can do that, then you've got a huge head start on singing and play at the same. You can sing and play at the same time. Chris, you can do that. I mean, I know you can. So yeah, the one thing I would say is, do you want to? I'm going to go back to Limitless, if I may. Do you want to limit yourself by saying, is it easier or harder? Do you only want to do what's easy, or do you want to do what you want to do?
Well, when you mention about doing this and then doing this, what about drummers? Because they have to tap their feet to a different rhythm while doing this on the snare drum and then go like this at the same time. It's like going like this. It's like difficult. Like,
It
and
is
you have
going
to
like
connect. I guess that's connect. That's when you have to connect your mind
that's what's
to
in
your
your
body.
brain. Oh,
Yeah.
yay! Look what I'm doing for myself. This is awesome. It's good for you, and it feels good, and it's fun. But it's not. You're not going to do it the first time you try. You may not. But take it out from under the microscope. If you say, "Oh, I should," I mean, this is a word I don't want to hear people who are learning a musical instrument say, "Should I should be able to do this?" I'm like, no, you shouldn't. You should do what you're doing. Your timeline is perfect, whatever it is. If you're investing in it, you're practicing, then it's right. Okay? And then we can work with how to practice where it gets there easier, faster, more fun. But there are no shoulds. And yeah, I mean, yes, a drummer has a lot going on. It's hard. But that's why everybody's not a drummer because everybody doesn't invest that much. So, you know, I really think it's important to consider, do you want something easy and fast or do you want something deep and rich? And you make that choice because you're not going to get both. I don't believe easily. It's not common that you'll get both. It looks easy when somebody else does it. Guess what? They put in the work and they invested in it in a variety of ways. And that's why they get back so much more. And that's why you get so much when you listen to them. It's deep
Hmm.
and it's rich. So going deeper, like our society right now, like, oh, surface, 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 quick, 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 I want it quick. How does that feel? It feels like then you want to jump to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, because you're not getting satisfied. Yeah.
It's true. So now during your career, um, like what are the biggest challenges you faced and how did you overcome it?
Well, let's narrow that down. My career as a teacher or my career as a performer?
Okay, let's try your career as a performer.
Any, meeny, miny, as a performer. Um, well, challenges, the way I see them now is different than the way I saw them then. This is the good thing about getting older and having a program in the morning. So now I take total responsibility for everything. Okay, so again, I would have to say, which way am I going to answer it? I'll start with the fact that I am a woman, which is why I made Woman to Woman Guitar my first video, because I think most people are aware right now that that's not easy in the career field. And especially in guitar, when I was, think about it 50 years ago. I don't know if you know who Howard Roberts was he was a top studio musician. And he started Guitar Institute of Technology, the Guitar Institute of Technology, the only one that there was. He toured the country. Every weekend, he did a 3-day seminar in a different city. They took 50 people in each of those seminars. They went, they did this for I don't know how many years. They got to Austin. I signed up for the seminar. I was the only female they saw in all of that time. So you can project and have ideas about what that was like. When I went to gigs, same thing. Um, People, I actually had somebody come up in the audience one time when I was playing with this jazz duo that I told you about.
Hmm.
He actually had sat there pinned, his eyes really pinned on both of our guitars, watching us play, trading off rhythm and lead. And he said, "Wow," he said this to me, "You're really good. You should try playing lead sometime. I bet you'd be good at it." He just watched me do it. That's a challenge. I
Yeah.
mean, that reflects something challenging, right? All right, so now the part where I take responsibility. I let that stuff intimidate me. It's
Yeah,
intimidating. Most people probably would, but I didn't have to. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
That was a big performance.
I suppose that when you were performing at one point in your career, that number one, the the note didn't come out properly. Number two, string broke. You have to deal with that. And thirdly, I don't know, you ever had an audience member come up to you and take your guitar and break and say, "I hate that."
None of those things ever. Either they
None
didn't
of
have.
them.
If the string broke, I mean, actually, I never broke a string on stage. I don't break strings at home because I don't bang on my guitar, and I don't use really, really light gauge strings. So I don't break strings. I don't know if I can't remember breaking a string.
You're not a
Um,
slapper either, eh?
Nobody's gonna bang on anything that I'm doing because it's not that offensive, and I don't even know what the other stuff was. I mean, the way I was treated, you know, there's just a lot of misogyny. I mean, I'll just be blunt. There's just a lot of biases back then, especially. But right now, I don't even, I shouldn't even get into this. But I'm watching, all the things that in my generation we fought for women. I'm watching women not only throw them away, but do them to themselves. They're sexualizing themselves. Like, wait a minute. We had enough people doing that to us. We don't need to do it to ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So, it's a complicated issue. It's a painful issue, and it's not something you can easily solve, and especially not in a conversation. And it's not something that I feel a victim of per se. I mean, we all look. We all have biases, and we all suffer from biases. It's part of being a human right now on this planet. It's not pretty. I don't like it. I work against it, but I'm not going to be a victim of it or blame or yeah. So that was challenging. It is challenging career wise. Yeah, and it's challenging actually in my teaching also. But what I did to get around that. I guess both things is you just do it. You just prove it. You just prove it. And people go, oh, yeah, that works for me. And if it works for them, it works for them. They go tell somebody else, they tell somebody else, and then you're good to go.
Hmm, interesting.
Yeah.
But just how long can you go on for? Because what do you think of the change in the music industry? Because you have this thing now. It's an elongated thing, looks like half of the guitar, and you can play it and you can teach yourself. Don't you think that instructors like you might be obsolete? Do you think there one day
No,
might be very few people out there who want to learn an actual guitar? They'll just take that little instrument, turn it on, and boom, 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 boom.
hear ya. And there will be a lot of people who do that, but it's just the same thing that's happened with, um, people are like, oh, teachers are going to be obsolete because now you have YouTube and you have all these courses. I mean, but those courses and that YouTube can't help you uh, lift your creative blocks. Hi, darling. Who is
My
this?
cat,
A black kitty.
she's my
Sweet
therapist.
baby.
Her name is Hannah. See, Hannah, you can be on another podcast. Hi, everyone, I'm
Oh,
Hannah.
aren't you adorable?
She's
Yes, I
9. She's
have my
9 years
therapy.
old.
Oh, sweet
Yep, sorry
Hannah.
to interrupt. It's just
You're
that when you
so
mentioned cats, I thought I got to bring my cat
oh,
online. So sorry to interrupt.
yeah,
Sorry, Hannah.
yeah.
Charlotte wanted to see my cat.
I did want to see Hannah. Yeah.
um,
I don't
yeah,
know
so,
what for, but
but there's people out there that still drive 50s cars. Doesn't mean that just because we have Teslas and
oh, that's what we were talking
driverless
about.
vehicles,
Yeah.
people still want to drive the 57 Chevy. And I've seen a few Model T Fords out there. So you never know. One day, I don't think it's going to be obsolete. Like in Footloose, the whole town that you're not allowed to play music. So Kevin Bacon's character had to dance and do. Remember? So they're going
Yeah.
to call,
I mean,
"Hi, is Charlotte Adams around?" Because we've got people here who want to learn a real live obsolete guitar. You know, you know.
yes. Okay. Think about what people, I just had this idea. So think about when the player piano came out.
Hmm.
It's a novelty. It's not, it's a novelty. Like what you're talking about. Oh, why should I do this? I can just, it's a novelty. Okay. So it's a toy. It's fun for a little while, but it doesn't feed your soul. It doesn't give you a direction in your life. It doesn't give you a friend to go to. It doesn't give you therapy like Hannah does. I mean, my guitar has gotten me through lots of terrible, losses, hardships. Go to your guitar. You can't get that from something that's an instant push a button. And people know that. People need to express. That's a human need. It's not going away. I don't
Yeah,
see it going away.
it's
Not for
true.
me.
Well, no, and with the advent of artificial intelligence, with how it can write music too, it can finish Mozart's unfinished symphony. I heard someone say that they have created the um, unfinished symphony. They completed it with AI and stuff like that, but it's not real music. Even Rick Beato, I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he's a famous
Of course,
guitarist,
yeah, he's
and
yeah.
he had a whole video about playing music he played that was created by AI, and he's sitting there thinking, "Okay, I like that," and he goes, "Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible." And then there's one progression where he goes, "I like that," So, but it was very informative, and you're right. Let's hope that people like you don't become obsolete. Because when I hit the age of 60 or 70, I want to be calling you and say, "Hello, Charlotte. Can you teach me how to play?" And you're still going to be able to do that.
I certainly will. I'm planning on it. I want to be here
Excellent.
for you.
Thank you very much.
I
If you
want to
could
be here for you.
collaborate, if you could collaborate with any artist, past or present, who would it be and why?
Hmm. You know, I think I might have to say Bill Frisell. Do you know Bill Frisell? And the reason is not only is he an amazing musician, amazing guitarist, but he is like wide open. Like he does so many things he can do. He is open to his own creativity. Um, he just speaks through his music, and you can like something and not like something else, whatever. I just feel like he's an artist, you know. Yeah.
Yeah,
So if you don't know him, check him out. But I'll tell you somebody else that came to mind that is mind blowing to me is Julian Lage. Do you know Julian Lage? Guitar player. Oh, you have got to check out Julian Lage. He's amazing. Yeah. So I got two for you.
yeah. Like
I'm
there's a
stopping
lot
there.
of them out there.
Yeah, there are a lot of them. Yeah.
There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, what would you do if somebody came up to you and some aspiring musician looking to break into the music scene? What advice would you give them?
Don't expect any money. Do expect a rich life. Music scene, the business is not the same thing as the art. So I would say, you know what I would probably say is if you really want to do this seriously, just see if you can get yourself to Berkeley School of Music and learn everything you can. Because they will teach you the music business. They'll teach you marketing. They'll teach you all kinds of stuff, as well as do a great job teaching you music. So, yeah, I never thought of that. But yeah, if you have the means to do that, I would jump on it. Now, most people don't want to live the way I've lived. I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I like having my hands in my own life. I like building my own life. But I mean, I made this life. I did not buy this house. The last people who lived here before me were Native Americans. So I made all of this, and I went for many years without heating, air conditioning. Fine. I had doors I could open. Most people don't want to do that. They want to go to restaurants. They want to take trips. They want to buy clothes. They want to do things that money can buy. I wanted to, instead of using money to buy things that made me happy, I wanted to just make myself happy. I want to skip all this other stuff. But it's a lot of work. Okay, so it's a lot of work, and I don't fault anybody for not wanting to do it. Music is just that. Like if you listen to most of the most famous people. I would love for to recommend anybody read Bruce Springsteen's autobiography. It's just so wonderful. But he slept on a lot of couches. You know, people who really make it, they sleep on a lot of couches. Sometimes they don't even get to the couch. It's hard. It can be really hard. That's why if you can get to someplace like Berkeley, and if you have a support system, it's great. Then you can get out, just jump right out there, know the marketing, start meeting people, have the confidence. That's big. Um, and if you have that, I think you could say, yeah, do it. But you need to either buy yourself that with something like a good music school, or you need to buy yourself that through your own sweat and tears. I think. I mean, I don't know anybody that's gotten been able to really support themselves in a very nice way, very easily, without a lot of years ramping up to it. Yeah,
Do you still know a lot of your repertoire from your days in your performing days?
yeah. I mean, here's the good thing now is that I don't have to use music like, not to say that it would be performance ready, but if you said, "Can you play this song?" and I'll say, "Hum it for me," that old thing like the piano player in the bar. Yeah, because I can just create it, a lot more easily. Like way back when, I'd have to learn it, like my students do. But now I hear something, I can play it. And that's what I do for my students. If they say, "I want to play this song," I'll say, "Well, is it on YouTube, or can you play a recording of it?" And then I'm figuring it out and showing them how to play it as I'm listening, because my ear is developed to that degree. So, yeah, I mean, I know a lot of songs. I know how a lot of songs go, so I can play a lot of songs. Yeah.
And you're thinking like, how do people come up with these songs? I mean, you're listening to them, you're like teary eyed, but really, you have to ask the person, how did you put that song together? What was the creative purpose? Like, what's the inspiration? Like, how did you? And then they tell you, like, wow. When I heard Rihanna's song "Umbrella," I thought it was like "Umbrella, under my," and I loved it. And my friend used it for the song that him and his girlfriend had. And I said, "Do you know what that song's about?" And I told him what it was about. And he goes, "That's not my song anymore. That's not my song anymore." Because it's if you knew what the song was about, you'd be going, hmm. So sort
Yeah,
of like,
I
and
see.
over troubled water, um, and Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is all just, all has a sort of different meaning. But yeah, this is a fantastic interview. I really appreciate it. You're so warm, and
I thank you.
I really appreciate
Yeah.
it. I loved it. Um,
Me too,
so
Chris. Thank you so much.
before we end the stream, is there any any special word that you want to give to my audience? Those who are struggling in music, or those who have problems playing music?
Yeah, I want to tell them this, and I'm going to tell them this from my heart. You can do it. You can do it. And if it feels like you can't do it, you just got to go around another corner, try another way, try another way. Be okay with yourself, have some fun, relax, go in there and try another way. And also, you can contact me. I am so accessible. I will answer your emails. I will be happy to hear from you. I always write this, and I don't know if people believe it, but I'm always happy to hear from people. Yeah, I am. So feel free to do that. That was more than
Well,
one
if you
word.
don't mind, you don't mind, Charlotte, well, we're going to link your website down below as mentioned and other links. But can we also link your email down there for people to contact you?
Oh, please do. Yeah. Info@limitless-guitar.com. Yeah,
Excellent.
write
Okay,
me.
everyone.
And
Thank you for joining
have
us.
other
Yeah,
stuff too. You can go to my Facebook page, whatever. Join my Facebook group, whatever. Twitter. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Find
sounds
me.
good.
I will see.
You hear that, everyone? So she's allowing you to email her and ask questions, and you never know. Steve Tyler or Steve Vai or Paul McCartney might email you and say,
They
you
might be end
know,
up that road right.
I can't connect my brain to my rest of my body when I play the guitar.
It could happen.
Ringo's trying to help me. Did you want me to bring Ringo over to your house as well?
Sure, they're all invited. Just like any all your friends, bring all your friends, your family, whatever. Wait,
My friend's gonna say you
kind of
do a terrible impression of Paul McCartney. So,
like.
but okay.
Well, nobody's paying you the McCartney impression, so you're safe.
Thank you everyone for joining us. Charlotte Adams out. See you, Charlotte.
See you, Chris. Thanks. Bye.